environment, and you will not find it anywhere but the high alpine,
Yeah.
where rugged rock, broken up rock meets grasses,
Right.
because they don't hibernate. They live all year round, and we get 4 meters of snow here, so they live in the rocks.
Right.
And so the way they do that is all summer long they create. Hey, that's the noise of it.
Oh, there.
There he goes.
There.
There he goes. Over there. That's Baby. That's one of our young of the year. So they live in the rocks.
Yeah.
And
What do they live off?
well, that they hay. They create hay piles.
Right.
And there's a couple of abandoned hay piles around here you can see that were used in previous years.
Ayun.
Nandoon.
Yeah, there it goes.
There.
Oh yeah, oh.
There, there.
Yes, they're not very big, and although that one's a little on the small side, although he's way bigger than he was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He's growing. He's a kid. He's growing. He's got to be full size by the end of the summer.
In the summer, hang around here, you'll see these people.
Yeah,
hanging around, right?
yeah, they're the really interesting high alpine adaptations. They can't survive warm temperatures, so 28 degrees in 30 minutes and they're dead.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, so the nice part is, so this is a rock glacier. It's actually a glacier. It's
So
made out of
it's
rock.
the same temperature inside, right?
Right.
Where their burrows are.
Right, and so, well, hard to call them burrows. They basically just hide in the rock holes.
All right.
But yes, if I stick a probe a meter into those rocks, I don't care what the temperature
10
is out
degrees
here.
or something, yeah.
It's 5 to 6 degrees pretty much all summer long. So what they do, and it's very common. We've been here doing this for a couple of weeks now, is when it gets hot, they spend a lot more time in the rock and a lot less time out of the rock.
Yeah.
And when it's a nice temperature like this, they spend more time out of the rock,
Very
doing their thing.
dry. Right.
And they only really have 3 behaviors. They stand and yell. They run in the rocks, with or without food, and they sit and watch the world go by. Those are the only 3 things they ever do. But they're desperately cute.
There's one more there. A big
Yeah,
one.
no, that's actually so we also in here we've got Colombian ground squirrels, which are the big guys with the tails. We've got golden mantle ground squirrels. We've got chipmunks. We have the odd red squirrel that comes through. And then we have their predators. We had the long-tailed weasel pass through a couple of days ago. The grizzly bear walked by here the other day.
Oh.
Made a real mess. Dug up a ground squirrel. It's pretty fun.
Ground squirrel, I saw them just right now coming out of the pocket.
Yeah.
Saan?
Yeah. So the 2 ground squirrels we have, and they're equally as family friendly.
You know.
Ah, yeah.
Are
Pero ano
all
siya?
brown, and that's the
Yung brown?
ground squirrel, and the guys that look like overgrown chipmunks are the golden mantle ground squirrels.
Sabi niya, yun ang dalawa to.
But they're actually, I mean, most of the critters around here are overly friendly.
Yeah.
Now,
Can we
if you
go? Can we walk all the way down there?
Yeah. So one thing about the high alpine is that you're more than welcome to walk wherever, but the high alpine contains a lot of plants that are very, very, very fragile, including one that you can kill by stepping on it.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to be really gentle
On the
and
trail.
walking. So priority number 1, step on rocks if you can.
Okay.
Priority number 2 is step on gravel if you can.
Okay.
So you'll see dirt patches. And third is step on the grass that looks like grass. So if it's got a funny color to it, if it's lighter or darker or bushier, stay off that. And
Okay.
here's the number 1 plant you got to avoid. This one.
Oh
They
yeah.
look like
The one
round
with the pink.
piles. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is called moss campion.
Right.
And you'll find it all over the place. That plant, that one is over 50 years old.
Wow.
Very slow growing. They're tiny. They're extremely fragile.
Wow.
And there's a couple up there that people step on and are dying because of it. So yeah, so watch where you step.
Yeah.
It's really important to watch where you step. Don't just randomly walk across the grass because you could be stepping in things that are bad. Just select where you walk carefully. As I say, if it looks like grass, you're fine on the grass. But if it looks like something that is not grass, aka one of the flowers or one of the plants that's a different color or a different shape but doesn't look like grass, try not to step on that.
Okay.
But yeah, you're more than welcome to saunter around. There's lots of moss campion up on that hillside if you head over there, so be really careful over there. There's a bit of it over here too. But yeah, you're more than welcome to explore. There's about 10 pica plus or minus. They're territorial.
Okay.
They make these hay piles, and they don't share. So you eat, even the newborns have to make their own hay pile.
Oh.
And so they, so the way you count pika is you find the hay piles.
Oh.
So every pika will have 1, 2, and up to three hay piles. Mostly,
They just do the shuttle.
sometimes, but not at this time of the year.
Right.
So the only guys that steal are the idiot children. So the problem, imagine you're a pika, you're born in May, and these guys are getting big, but they need to eat more than the adults do. So they spend a lot more time eating than haying, and so it's not unusual for them to hit September a little short on hay,
Right.
and so that's when they start potentially stealing from mom and dad.
Oh.
And mom doesn't like that, just for the record. But this time of year, they're not doing much of that. So we've got a mom that lives in here. Her name is Winky. She has one eye.
How
That's why
old?
I don't really know. Probably 3, maybe 4. Average lifespan's only 1.5 years.
Oh.
So they don't live very long. It's a tough life, and there's lots of predators. So we have mom that kind of lives in this space. And then we have a baby that lives there, another baby that lives there, and another baby that lives over there. So there's 3 young of the year, and then going that direction, there's at least 2 more. So between that big tree up there, what looks like the horizon line, there's about 8, 9 pika in this space,
Oh.
and so this is a pretty rich habitat for them. The food is pretty plentiful. You can see
Wow,
that
it's
she just
friendly. It's right in front of her.
yeah, as I said, they're as long as you just basically be quiet and don't chase them, you'd be surprised how quickly they will ignore you. Now that's these guys that live here where everybody visits them.
Yeah.
Because if they tore off every time somebody walked up here,
Yeah. They never eat.
they'd never eat.
Yeah.
So, but the guys on the ends,
Yeah.
they're a lot more skittish because they don't put up with people as much.
Right.
So this is that habituation, and bears have the same thing. They're habituated to people. The ones that hang out where people hang out have to understand people in order to hang out there. They can't be afraid of them. They can't be mad at them. They can't be, because it won't work. They've got to survive. The only way they survive is by, there's one way up high running across. So the only way they survive is by being habituated to people.
How
And-
high is this rock?
So this glacier has got about 300 vertical meters to it. The innards, it's actually ice in the middle. There goes my shrew. Sorry, there's one critter running around
yeah.
there.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long-tailed shrew.
There.
He's extremely chicken. I've been trying to get a picture of him all morning, and he just will not cooperate. Where is he?
Yeah.
There.
Oh, that's so tiny.
Yeah, he's just a bugger to get a picture of. There he
There.
comes.
Oh,
Yeah,
there.
Come on.
Come on, come on.
He's the single most predated animal around. So there's basically nothing on 4 legs or 2 wings that won't eat him. He's a popular food for everything from foxes to coyotes. We had a coyote come across here this morning. All the weasels, all the any raptor, any owl, we'll all get him.
You're a volunteer, right?
Yeah, well, I'm sort of half and half today.
Yeah.
I'm a volunteer with Alberta Park Ecology, but I was asked to support these guys. But they hired the Friends of Kananaskis,
All right.
who I also I'm the co-chair of the Friends of Kananaskis. They hired the Friends of Kananaskis to
coach
do
for
guiding for them. So I am both the guide and the volunteer and the helper.
Where do you live?
I live in Harvey Heights.
Up here to live somewhere near here.
Somewhere
Oh,
kind
near just outside Canberra.
Right.
Yeah, you little bugger. He's just a pain to. Anyway, so this. If I went out halfway up this hill and drilled 5 meters in, the answer is that there's about 40% ice under there. So that's what makes this thing plastic and movable.
Right.
So Ray Glacier, which is a traditional ice glacier, which is just behind Mount Ray, it has an accumulation zone. The snow falls and collects.
Yeah.
and it collects faster than it melts, so it collects and collects and collects. It pressures it to make ice, and then the ice eventually leaks out because it gets pressured and pushes. And this exactly the same function that you can see the flat up there that the erosion from way high up on the mountain creates, and it dumps into that accumulation zone, and it builds up pressure, and eventually it tips over this and it runs downhill. So the difference between that glacier and this one is that one's moving about 8 to 10 meters a year. This one's moving this much a year.
Oh.
Literally, it's moving 8 to 10 millimeters a year. Eventually, it'll bury the road. But I think you're going to have to wait a couple of million years for that to happen.
How high are these peaks, Mount Ray and the others?
Ray is 3,270 meters,
Right.
and you're currently at
2,000.
about 2,100, maybe a little lower. So call that 1,100 meters, so 3,500 vertical feet above.
Is that relatively easy to hike, or is it technical?
Ray is a tough scramble. There's a bunch of mountains around here that are not tough scrambles. That one's a tough scramble. That one's a lot of exposure, and but I mean, if there's a peak around here you can get to the top of, people go to the top of it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much impossible not to find one. People will figure it a way.
What mountain is that? The one.
That doesn't have a name. It's just the eastern extension or the southern extension of Mount Ray. So we don't get the next name mountain until we get Mount Arethusa, but you can't see it. It's in the backside, and then you have Mount Storm.
Which are the easiest ones to go up then without having to risk it?
There's millions of easy mountains to get up here. Millions, hundreds.
Right.
If that's open, you can walk that entire ridge.
Wow. How many days?
What height is it?
That's peaks out at about 2,800, I think, on peak 5.
So it's just
But that's
around,
just one example. I mean, there's
just around 10,000.
yeah, you can see the arch on Mount Tyrwhitt. You can, if you look up there, you can see on the horizon line up there on that mountain, you can see the Y-shaped arch.
Oh, the one right at the back, yeah.
Yeah, you see the Y-shaped arch. A lot of people hike up to there and get their picture taken in the Grand Arch.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's hundreds of mountains around here
Well,
that are easy to get
So
to
what's
the
the
top
name of that one?
That's Tyrwhitt.
How'd you spell it?
Tyrwhitt.
Trywitt.
And then you get to the peak. Is that relatively easy or not?
That's a high, to the arch. It's pretty straightforward. Up to the peak is a lot of exposure, but it's not hard.
Right. Okay.
It's exposure because it's what you're looking at is a knife edge ridge.
Yeah.
So you wipe out off of it, you're dead. So you have to figure out a way up something that looks like this. And some people actually literally straddle it to go up sections of it.
Right.
Fun mountains to east.
So for 10,000 foot mountain, which is the
10,000. What would that be in meters?
just under 3,000.
Yung may mga
Mga holes.
tutulong po ng mga okay lang na makuha ang mga tao.
Yeah, so there's the only thing I do know is that right now, for reasons I do not understand, for the first time in the 15 years I've been stewards, they're not stewards this time.
Ayun.
Yan. Parang siya lang pabalik-balik. Parang ito yung mga...
Ayun, pabalik-balik siya dun sa lalaki.
Alam mo, parang ito yung hayop na nakikita ko sa mga movie na pinag-experimento mo.
Kaya nga sila yung
Ito no, ito yun eh. Diba sabi niya madaling mamatay?
So ano lang talaga sila sa loob. Pag mainit.
The budget was created last summer for this year and approved in October before they were even they knew.
Siya si Mother.
So sila gumawa niyan, di ba?
Oo.
Magaling naman.
Kanina yung nandoon, may dala-dala siyang pagkain.
Yan ang pagkain na yun.
Galing siya doon, parang dahon lang.
Ganun naman dito sila nakatira.
Mga rocks lang talaga, no? So may erosion talaga siyang mangyayari dito.
Oo.
Pero dangerous din to kung nag-ano. Pero ang kagandahan dito sabi niya is, ano lang ang pag-move nito, di ba?
Millimeter lang every
Millimeter every year. Hindi katulad ng mga ibang mga ano. Picture kita.
picture ka.
Naka-video,
Sige,
naka-video rin to. Diyan, pa-video nga kami dalawa. Picture at the same time.
Okay, video and picture. Ayan ang sexy.
Naka-video yan.
Wala na si mami. Ano yung pangalan? May pangalan siya rin. Pinangalanan niya.
Yan na.
Maglabas na naman siya. Baka mamaya sundutin yung puwit natin dito.
Sige, tingin.
Ayun. Good. Kita mo?
Nasa likod ng...
Ano?
Oh, yeah. Ibang
Ayan,
kulay na naman
ayan.
siya, Jen. Ay,
Oo nga,
ayun,
parang may
bumaba.
ano, may
Picture na lang
puntik-puntik.
kami. Puntahan ko siya. Puntahan.
Sige. You want to? Ready, take? Yan. 1, 2. 1, 2. Isa pa. 1, 2.
Ano sabi niya?
Ang dami niyang information.
Kaya sabi ko, hindi, pumunta ka na doon.
Kaya ikaw ang nagtanong nun, baka hanggang ngayon hindi ka pa nakaalis.
Ay, ano, bakit ko inanay?
Tama lang sila
Bakit
ni
ko?
Nick.
Ha?
Tama lang sila ni Nick.
Kaya nga.
Akin na, Jen. Akit ka na dito, Jen. Picture mo ako dyan solo. Oh, asan na siya?
Ayun.
Saan?
Ayun sa ilalim pa. Pero
Nang?
dito malapit.
Ayun.
Okay, mag-video ko. Sagot lang din, mag-video ako.
Ayun. Sir.
Ayun, Jen. Ano daw sabi niya? Oh, like, unstable daw to die.
Ay, let's go.
Die unstable daw to, baka may...
Simple. Sabi naman niya, pwede ka maglakad kahit saan.
Pero ano yung sinasabi niya?
Hindi ko sinabi niya tayo huwag to. Sinabi niya natin yung huwag pumunta
Oh,
dyan.
sabi naman rock, right?
Unstable naman talaga to kasi mga rock lang.
Kaya lang baka sabihin niya, nandito ako tapos hindi ko ipinagsabihan. Sige, akit tayo. Pagsasabihan naman sige.
Kasi sabi nga niya lahat ng daw ang mga tao maghanap daw talaga ng paraan para maka...
Akyat.
Ito na last natin or may
Hindi,
pupuntahan
punta
pa?
ka. Bakit? Ayaw mo na?
Hindi, kung last na natin to, akyat tayo pero kung hindi, ano na lang tayo
Hindi,
kasi...
punta pala sa Trolls Falls, di ba?
So hindi na tayo paakyat kasi maabutan to, magte-take time to.
Hindi, aakyat tayo hanggang ganyan lang. Hindi tayo punta doon sa... Gusto mo umakyat doon? Ay, ayaw ko ng ganito.
Ah.
Tapos tinan mo screen siya. Makakaakyat tayo dyan,
Practice
pero...
mo yan sa mist.
Ay, hindi. Mag-ano ko sa
Sa mist.
mist. Hindi ako mag-rubber shoes. Ikaw, rubber shoes ka lang sa mist?
Hindi, mag-hiking shoes naman talaga ako pag hiking.
Bigla kaya niya nag-move. Tapos nalaglagan tayo dito.
Pero nag-move nga daw ng ano. May ako na kasi magandang siya.